Greetings. This is Brother Minister Michael Muhammad, the founder and organizer of the New Black Leadership Coalition. I am offering some thoughts on this day, July 4th, 2021, 15 days away from the celebration of Juneteenth on June 19th. And so this has brought to mind some thoughts that I think are worth us thinking about. We were granted a holiday this year by the new presidential administration and Congress. Juneteenth holiday made a federal holiday, and so now today, July 4th, we're celebrating another federal holiday of July 4th, which commemorates or intended to commemorate the independence gained by the English settlers and other European settlers who came to this part of North America and won their freedom from the Crown of England. And so today, as I'm sure all of us are living this day, we are going to hear plenty of music, plenty of sounds and celebration, the smell of the barbecues going and the gathering of people here and there and everywhere, the waving of the American flag and all of these symbolic gestures that we make on the 4th of July, the igniting of fireworks and whatnot as a tribute to this holiday, this legal holiday established by the United States of America to commemorate its victory over the British. And so it brings back to mind thoughts about Juneteenth, this day that we remember when the last of our ancestors, it is said, who were trapped down in Texas, received news of the legal emancipation of black people from chattel slavery. In deep down in Texas, where Texas was known to be a world of its own, because it was trapped between being a part of Mexico and not a part of Mexico, a part of the United States, but not a part of the United States. And so Texas has a very unique history and culture in the contiguous states of the United States of America. But in 1860, the run-up to the Emancipation Proclamation by Abraham Lincoln in an effort not to free black people but to save the Union, issued the Emancipation Proclamation in 1863. 2 years later, it reaches Texas. But in 1860, it is said that the slave plantation, the slave population in Texas was growing faster than the free population in Texas. Texas was running on full throttle from the benefits of chattel property. Our ancestors who had been stripped of their minds, stripped of their language, stripped from their land, lost their culture, and became a byproduct of chattel slavery. The population of Texas in the 1860s, it is said 1/3 of the population of Texas was chattel slaves, our ancestors. It is also said that between 1835 and 1865, when the news of emancipation arrived in Texas, that even though slavery had been abolished legally by the United States, there was at least an additional 2,000 black people caught, captured, and brought to the shores of the United States through the port of Galveston into Houston and throughout Texas as chattel property. This lets us know that Texas was not a good place for a black man, if there was such a place anywhere in the South. However, most Texans did not own slaves. Most of the slaves were owned by elite, wealthy whites, not the mass population. Here we are on July 4th, 2021, celebrating a freedom that we yet enjoy as black people in America fully. We have freedom of mobility. We have freedom for the most part of pursuing employment. We have freedom for the most part of pursuing our social pursuits, but all of these areas of life are still weighted down by white supremacy and black inferiority. And so as we celebrated Juneteenth with our legal emancipation, and now we're celebrating July 4th with the literal victory of the Americans over the British gaining their freedom, we are hard-pressed to compare ourselves and our so-called legal emancipation with the freedom of the bluecoats, if you will, the European rulers of this, what we call the United States. We need to understand that we should not make the mistake of comparing our Juneteenth with their July 4th. And even though our great leader and progenitor and elder, the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, also declared July 4th as a day of the freedom and independence of black people in America, he had reasons that we need to study. But in addition to the Honorable Elijah Muhammad, we also must say in that same sentence, when we talk about liberation for black people in America, the Honorable Marcus Mosiah Garvey, these two men should be the standard model for black leadership. And neither one of these models of leadership would be found waving the flag on July 4th. Each one of them trumpeted an independent flag for black people that should supersede the flag of the United States for the descendants of slaves in America. Both of these men were liberation-minded, not assimilation-minded. And as we live and breathe on this July 4th, 2021, by the grace of the God of our ancestors, we have most of our leadership in the mind of assimilation and not liberation. We have confused assimilation with liberation. The fact that I can go and get a piece of paper to say I'm educated by the standards of my oppressor, the fact that I can carry his money, the fact that I can buy a car or a hotel room or a plane ticket or some such thing, the fact that I can personally accumulate land and wealth, but yet as a community we have no respect, we have no real freedom that we can speak of other than as individuals. We are still a oppressed people. We function at an inferior position, even though we have serious space that we take up in the economy and the culture and the body politic of the United States of America. We still are in an inferior position as a whole. And so as we celebrate July 4th, I want to give us a little bit to think about in a few brief minutes. We are continuing to elect, to select, to nominate, to popularize, and to validate leaders in the black community, so-called leaders in the black community, representatives, elected officials, and whatnot, spokesperson and whatnot, that have an assimilationist mind and not a liberationist mind. And that is why they could give us another holiday to celebrate Juneteenth, because holidays are long known by historians to be one of the tools that was used by the plantation owner, who would give our ancestors a day off from their heavy, burdensome, traumatic labor in the fields of the South. They would give them a day off where they would provide corn and other such foodstuffs, a little meat here, a little pork there, a little chicken here and there, and they would expect our ancestors to entertain them. They would have to do a dance, do a song, and entertain the oppressor in exchange of this holiday. It was symbol without substance. But they knew they had beat down our consciousness, beat down our bodies, beat down our mind and our spirit to such an extent that most of us were happy with symbol and no substance. We were happy to work without working as entertainers for Caucasian plantation owners on a holiday. And so here we are with the Biden administration. Here we are with Kamala Harris as part of the administration. Here we are with the Congressional Black Caucus, satisfied to give us symbol without substance. And so you found us in the community putting up our red, black, and green, many of us. But more than anything, we had a few celebrations, but in the hood, it was an opportunity to keep the neighborhood in turmoil with murders and shootings and killings and fireworks that we spent thousands of dollars to bring back to our neighborhoods and upset the peace and tranquility of a summer night in the neighborhood with no parents around to regulate and monitor and guide our young people who use it as another occasion to do nothing but squander money and upset the peace and stability in the neighborhood. We are too quick to applaud legislation that gives us symbol and no substance. Chattel slavery was about substance. While they gave us symbols, they were getting the substance. And so while we spend, they say, over $1.5 trillion in the economy of the United States of America, while we continue to be the main targeted special population, that when any aspect of corporate America or the government of America is in trouble, they target us to spend our dollars to maintain their wealth. They target us. And some of us, we don't even have to be knowingly targeted. We promote every fashion design, every brand name that we can, and we make them multi-billionaires. So we spend over $100 or $500 million on healthcare. We spend over near $130 million in grooming products every year. We spend over $470 million on skin care. But here in 2021, we are worse off than we were 20 years ago, 30 years ago in terms of ownership and power. The Koreans, the Caucasians, Caucasians own what we used to own. Why? Because our business leaders, our elected leaders, our ordained leaders, our grassroots leaders, we have an assimilationist mindset. We're imitating white culture, white way of doing things, white thinking, white behavior. So we built up a hair care, a beauty care industry only to sell it back to white people. And now we're in misery and suffering. Some of us who understand this, but most of us are ignorant to the facts, and we are happy to go to the Korean and the Vietnamese and give them our money for hair care products that we used to be making great inroads, an industry we were making inroads to control, but we sold out because of this assimilationist psychology that makes us think we have to do everything the way that white people do it. And this is what has us in a bind, black family, is our elected officials in particular and our business leaders specifically. They all think that they have to do it the way white people do it. They think that white people boil water better than black people. They think that white people solve problems better than black people. They have no faith in themselves. They have no faith in their own ability and their own intelligence, so they will acquiesce to the whims, wishes, feelings, and desires of white people in power. This is our problem, dear family. So as we're celebrating the independence of the United